The morning that changed everything began with a phone call that almost broke a man who had spent years pretending he was strong. Arven Cole was standing alone beside a quiet street, watching the sunrise over the city he once dreamed of conquering, when he received news that forced him to face every regret he had buried deep inside his heart. The person he least expected to hear from was the same person who had once walked away from him with tears in her eyes, leaving behind memories that never truly disappeared. Before we continue with this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of a good heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel Heart Kindness Tales for more inspiring stories. Years earlier, Arven was a man full of ambition but carrying invisible wounds from a difficult childhood. He grew up watching his family struggle, learning that life rarely gave people anything without a fight. He promised himself that one day he would build a better future, not only for himself but for the people he loved. His determination helped him become successful, but along the way, he made mistakes that slowly pushed away the person who mattered most. Arven had once been married to a woman named Serafina Vale, a kind and patient soul who believed there was still goodness in him even when he could not see it himself. She was the type of person who remembered small details, who cared about strangers, and who always tried to find light in the darkest moments. When Arven was struggling, she stood beside him. When he finally achieved success, he became so focused on protecting what he built that he forgot to protect the love that helped him build it. Their relationship did not end because of one huge betrayal. It ended because of hundreds of small moments where Arven was absent even when he was physically present. He missed important days, ignored quiet signs of sadness, and convinced himself that providing a comfortable life was enough. Serafina slowly became lonely inside a marriage where she felt invisible. The day she left, the house felt strangely silent. Arven returned home expecting the usual warmth, but instead he found an empty room, a few carefully placed belongings missing, and a letter explaining that she did not leave because she stopped loving him. She left because she could no longer recognize herself while waiting for someone who was always too busy to notice her pain. For years after that, Arven lived with the consequences of his choices. His career continued growing, but his home became a place filled with memories instead of happiness. He walked through rooms that looked perfect but felt empty. He kept old photographs hidden away, unable to throw them out because they reminded him of the person he was before he lost the woman who saw the best in him. Time passed, and Arven tried to move forward. He helped others, donated to charities, and became known as a successful businessman with a generous heart. But deep inside, he knew that kindness toward the world could never completely replace the apology he never got to give to Serafina. Then came the unexpected call. A mutual friend told him that Serafina was going through a difficult time and needed help. She had never asked for anything, but circumstances had changed. Her small community project, something she had dedicated years to building for children and struggling families, was in danger of closing. Arven immediately wanted to help, but he hesitated. He wondered if showing up after all those years would only reopen old wounds. He wondered if she would even want to see him. But then he remembered something important. Love was never about waiting for the perfect moment. Sometimes it was about doing the right thing even when you were afraid. When Arven arrived at the small community center where Serafina worked, he saw a side of life he had never experienced before. Children were laughing, families were receiving support, and volunteers were working with smiles despite having very little. He realized that while he had spent years building a name, Serafina had spent years building hope. Seeing her again was overwhelming. She looked different, older, wiser, and stronger, but the kindness in her eyes was the same. Arven felt a wave of regret because he finally understood the depth of what he had lost. He was not just looking at his former wife. He was looking at the person who had believed in him before he became someone others admired. At first, Arven did not try to fix everything with promises. He knew words alone meant little after years of disappointment. Instead, he quietly helped. He repaired broken equipment, organized resources, and spent time listening to people whose stories reminded him of his younger self. Every day he showed up without expecting forgiveness. The hardest part was accepting that Serafina might never forget the pain he caused. Arven learned that real change was not about demanding another chance. It was about becoming someone worthy of one. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, the walls between them began to fall. They shared memories, not as a couple trying to recreate the past, but as two people finally understanding the lessons life had forced them to learn. Arven admitted his mistakes without excuses. He confessed that he had spent years chasing success because he was terrified of returning to the poverty and helplessness of his childhood. Serafina listened, but she also explained that understanding someone's pain does not erase the pain they caused. Those words stayed with Arven because he knew they were true. For the first time, he accepted responsibility without trying to defend himself. One rainy afternoon, while they were organizing supplies at the center, Arven found an old handmade card from years ago. It was something he had given Serafina during their first year of marriage, a simple reminder that he promised to always appreciate her. He had forgotten about it completely, but she had kept it all those years. That small discovery broke something inside him. He realized that even when he failed her, she had held on to the memory of the person he once was. Not because she ignored his mistakes, but because she believed people could grow. Life did not suddenly become perfect. There were still difficult conversations and painful memories. But something changed. Arven stopped trying to return to the past and started creating a better future. He learned that love was not measured by grand gestures but by everyday actions, patience, and presence. The community center eventually survived, and it became even stronger than before. Arven used his resources to support the mission, but he made sure Serafina remained the heart of the work. He no longer wanted recognition. He only wanted to contribute. Years later, people who knew their story often said they witnessed something rare. They saw two people who had been broken by mistakes but healed through honesty and compassion. They saw that sometimes the greatest transformations happen quietly, when someone decides to become better not because they want praise, but because they finally understand the value of the people they almost lost. Arven learned that regret can either destroy a person or become the beginning of change. He carried the memories of his past, but they no longer controlled him. They became reminders to choose kindness every day. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that people can change, please engage with this video by liking, sharing, subscribing, and leaving your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps more emotional stories reach people who need them. Before the ending, please comment one word, second chance, if you believe everyone deserves an opportunity to grow and become better. The greatest lesson Arven ever learned was that success means nothing if you lose the people who make life meaningful. A person can spend years collecting achievements, money, and respect, but the true wealth of life is found in the moments of love, forgiveness, and kindness we give to others. And sometimes, the most beautiful new beginning comes from the place where we once thought everything had ended. I can also make a matching YouTube SEO title, description, keywords, and hashtags for this story if you need them.